What in the world is this? People are talking about the very coincidental timing that this meteor flew past the erupting Mayon volcano over in the Philippines yesterday, but something else was also seen. Only a few seconds later, and again, as coincidence may have it, we start to see this white orb ascend into the same path that this meteor flew. Some people are saying that perhaps this is a helicopter or a plane that was surveying the volcano, but again, what odd timing that this goes a similar, not exact, but a similar path of the meteor that's flying past an active volcano. But here's what's interesting. This exact same volcano had previously erupted back in March, and this was captured on camera. A couple people that saw this with their own eyes were quoted as saying it looked like the orbs were dancing near the erupting volcano. But it seems like these type of objects are very drawn to volcanoes. For example, back in 2024, this was supposedly seen going inside the Popocatépetl volcano over in Mexico. But moving on, what is going on with these chemical plants on the West Coast? This happened just a few days ago in California.
It's breaking news. 40,000 people evacuated from a wide area near an aerospace facility in Garden Grove with a 34,000-gallon chemical tank that will either spill thousands of gallons of toxic material or explode.
If you've ever seen videos of tank cars on a railroad track blowing up and that fireball it puts out and it blows half the tank car a half a mile down the train track, that's the incident potential we are dealing with.
They're not mincing words. This is an extremely dangerous situation that has only gotten more serious since we first started covering this on Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock yesterday.
But fortunately, the tank developed a crack that safely released the pressure and allowed the chemical to cool, basically avoiding a catastrophe, putting it lightly.
The most catastrophic and worst case scenario was mitigated and resolved. It's not over yet, and I want to reemphasize that. It's not over yet.
Officials have now reduced the evacuation orders for 34,000 people.
When you go home, you can feel safe. There was no contamination. There were no fumes. There were no vapors that came from this incident.
Sure, Jan.
But flash forward a couple days later, this happened in Washington State today.
Now, we do have some other breaking news to get to here. This from our colleagues in Seattle, Fox 13 in Seattle, saying a major chemical explosion injured multiple people at the Nippon plant in Longview on Tuesday morning, triggering a massive emergency response that has forced officials to close off the surrounding industrial area.
As of right now, at the time of this recording, there are multiple people confirmed to be deceased. There are others who are actually missing, and 10 people so far have been transported to the hospital for injuries. They're not saying how many people are deceased, but they're saying what caused this was a rupture of a tank containing white liquor. The company said in a statement, white liquor is a highly corrosive chemical used in the paper making process. The tank that ruptured holds about 300,000 liters, and it was roughly 60% full when the incident occurred. Again, is this just a coincidence that this happens only a few days after what took place in California? But let's also not forget that this is only taking place weeks after all these warehouses were going up in flames. But this next news story is absolutely horrifying. This young man was warning residents, the locals, of a law in Canada.
The federal government's implementing a number of different laws. These laws are incredibly authoritarian, and they put children and students in the direct line of fire of federal prosecution. It's on the back side. You're looking at the wrong side.
Okay.
And so essentially, I've kind of outlined here from like a staff admin standpoint, for you guys to avoid legal liability of like students suing you guys because you guys didn't tell them about these new laws.
He was spotted by a doctor doing this inside a restaurant, and this happened.
The Mental Health Act, we're going to bring you to hospital, do testing on you, and
you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment. You've been.
I won't attend. I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
So he's certified. He's certified. Yeah.
I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
Okay.
What is going on? I was never given a psych eval or nothing. He just looked at me and said, "You're certified."
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why, but it's up to the doctor. So if you.
But no, he didn't even give me an eval. He just looked at me and said, "I'm certified, man."
I get that.
Please consider what you're doing, and please think about the fact that I'm more than happy to come in for an appointment. I'm happy to go through and do everything properly. Okay, I've been completely compliant with everything.
Yes, you've been really good with me, Nicholas. But listen, that's his call, and unfortunately, we can't go back on that.
He hasn't talked to me.
Get checked out by a doctor.
You're interacting with me at a very regular.
So yes, this is as dystopian as it gets, for right now anyway. Canada has legislation, and reading this from the National Institutes of Health, any licensed physician, doesn't have to be your own, never met you a day in your life, but saw you out in public and deemed you a person that's experiencing a mental health issue. They can state they spoke to your family, put you on a list, and have the police come and take you away. You can plead your case all you want, you can sound mentally well, but that will not stop the police from overriding the doctor's orders. Where you'll be taken to a hospital where possibly in the future it'll be a re-education camp or one of these quote-unquote data centers. But for right now, it's a hospital where you will be examined for about 24 to 72 hours to make sure you're deemed mentally fit. This is where we are in certain parts of the world where I'm sure it will not just end in Canada. This seems eerily similar to back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where people were taken left and right to insane asylums for the littlest thing. These massive buildings were just popping up quickly left and right, which sounds very similar to what we're seeing today with these data centers. By 1890, almost every state in the United States had multiple state-funded insane asylums. These massive insane asylum buildings were popping up so much that some people were even losing their land and homes due to the construction. Does that also not sound familiar?
So what were these insane asylums actually for? You're not even going to believe me. It was for religious fanatics. Maybe someone who remembered something massive happening. Of course, all these buildings we cannot build today, in the Great Fire of every single city in the United States and also across the ocean. Seriously, type in the Great Fire of in any state and you'll see all at the same time there is fires around the entire US. The most noticeable one, get this, just smack in the face. The most noticeable one was the 1666 Great Fire, I believe, London. But did you know, while all these insane asylums were being full of these religious fanatics and everything around the US was being completely destroyed and founded, that we had these trains coming in with thousands and thousands of children on them? It gets so weird because if you look at, old black and white pictures from like the early 1800s, you'll see like New York and stuff with no people in there. Then all of a sudden, all these trains start bringing all these children here and moving them around the United States. Then all of a sudden, pictures pop up of the children covered in coal and dirt, and for some reason they're working. Like, where is all the adults? Wait a minute, are they in the insane asylums? And these religious fanatics, do they remember what stuff was like before all this craziness went down? Even more so, how could they change an entire narrative? Like everything, all the history that one thinks to themselves, how could they change all of that? What if I told you that cloning technology is not new and the Cabbage Patch Kids, like the toys you love so much as children, maybe some of you, they were actually real children? Real children on postcards for sale in the United States while these orphan trains were going on. And they also had baby incubators, as if they were growing these children like cabbage.
That great video came from Moon Henry. Seems like history is about to repeat itself once again, especially when we have these so-called powers that be that are pretty much demanding us get on board with what they're doing and not speak out. Take, for example, this video clip, which shows Larry the Lizard King Fink talking about what needs to be done with our money. Don't forget that this man is also currently in charge of the World Economic Forum.
If we could get more and more Americans to think about growing with the United States, we will have far than enough money to invest in this infrastructure. But as the governor was talking about, the need for electrons is growing every day. Some of these, if we're going to be the leader in technology, which we are, if we are going to be the leader in AI, which we presently are, it's just going to require trillions of dollars of investments. And if we don't invest in it, China will be the global leader in this. And so to me, it's not whether, this is a must. And if you think about how that translates, it translates into a more dynamic economy. We need the United States economy to grow at over 2%. We need the U.S. economy to grow at 3%, especially with the growing deficits the federal government has. And so much of this money, not just the projects, is going to be coming from the private sector, from savings accounts, from pension accounts, from insurance companies, and on and on and on. The whole world is in need of improving the infrastructure.
Now, he's not talking about putting our savings, our retirements, our pensions into roads and bridges, things like that. No, he's talking about, of course, data centers. We are already seeing glimpses of this. Like, for example, this news article came out. A Texas firm worth $2 billion pauses their 401k match. So whatever you put in your 401k, they would match it 3%. Well, they're no longer doing that. Instead, they're taking that money and now putting it into AI. We can already see how they're taking people's lands and homes away, like, for example, over in Georgia, to expand these AI data centers. How much longer until we start seeing them going into people's bank accounts, their savings, their investments, taking away money and saying that they are applying it to these data centers because we have to beat China? And if somebody speaks out against this, maybe they'll be deemed mentally unwell because they cannot see the bigger picture.
A flight for my grandmother says $752, right? I didn't put any of her information in. She's a senior. Okay, I just want you to see that she is a senior, 1949, right? Ticket's supposed to be $752. Based on traveler information provided, the price of your ticket has changed to $1,000 because she's a senior. So United, you're charging people for being older? You're charging a senior tax? Okay, now I put my information in. My birthday. Obviously not a senior. 752, right? Still $752. That's insane. United. What's going on with that? So you're charging people, elderly people, $250 more just because of their age? That makes no sense. None at all.
So that's about a $400 difference. Now, I cannot find anywhere that United is supposed to charge seniors higher. They say they don't do that. So someone called United about this, and their response was, it's just a glitch, bro. This is not supposed to happen. But kind of interesting, this is just happening to seniors. And I wonder how long this has been going on, because after this video it is reported that this has happened before. I just wonder how many thousands of dollars United has taken from senior citizens that don't have a younger person to actually look at the finer print of what they're being really charged for.
I guess there's probably a lot of opportunity in synthetic medicine. So with like these days, you can basically create custom, RNA. And I think like the sort of we're going from a situation where medicine has been analog, where we kind of like just find drugs kind of by accident most of the time. Like finding sticks in the forest that, seem like this stick seems like a useful club, type of thing. It's quite primitive how we found medication in the past. Now, but once you can, and since we can now construct synthetic RNA, you can effectively think of medicine, the future of medicine, as being digital. Like, so if you just know what to program into that synthetic RNA strand, you can basically, I think, cure almost anything.
Back then, almost everything was natural and from the earth, but not in this dystopian society where everything is digital. Even medicine, which will be synthesized like a Frankenstein digitally.
Right. They asked me to show you this. If this is a Subtropolis. You don't know about this place. Show the outside of this place. It's got this fake truck stop right here. Look, let me show you. Brand new Pilot PJ Fresh, so you know it's new. This is all the truck parking there is here. This truck stop ain't meant for sleeping. I'll show you what's on the back side of this truck stop. This is what they don't show you. Look, it goes right into the caves. You go through the truck stop and you get into these caves that go any country you can get to through these caves. I'll take you to the entrance. I tried to get fuel here once in the truck and I can't get a fuel card that'll work here. It's not for sleeping. That place right there, it's not for sleeping. It's for fueling up and going over here. Look, I'll show you these flags of every country you can get to through this tunnel. That's the entrance right there. I've been in there before, but security chased me. There's security right there too. But look at all the countries you can get to from inside that cave. From inside this cave here too. Right there. All these countries you can get to from right here. Inside there. I've been in there before. I wanted to film in there, so I brought my wife and my kids with me so they wouldn't arrest me. They just thought we were looking for something cool to look at. And it goes in all the way, miles and miles, and then it breaks off. There's stores, there's everything you need down there. Right there. And someone's coming right there. Yeah, they'll chase you out. They don't talk about this place out there. They don't talk about the fake truck stop. Fake railroad tracks right here. This gate closes here. There's two different gates here. There's like a little gate there you'd see in a house, and then there's gates here. It's really weird. If you try to park your truck right there, there's a security guard right there in that police thing. They won't let you park your truck there unless you can prove you got business. How do you prove that? I get to work.
Really makes you wonder how many of these other areas that have perhaps abandoned buildings or another truck resting area are in front of a massive cave tunnel system.
Folks, I'm currently standing in the Rio Grande River right now. This is what it looks like right here, all dirt. All dirt. You're looking at an environmental catastrophe, what this is. The new Meta data center in Los Lunas, New Mexico, takes 75 million gallons per year to cool down the data center. And this is what we're left with. Another data center is being built in El Paso right now, a Facebook Meta data center. How much more water is that going to take? This is going to be, folks, this is apocalyptic. I've never seen a river like this. By this time of the year, you couldn't even swim in this. It would take you under. The undercurrent would take you out. This is unbelievable. No more water. So what does that mean for the farmland, the ranch lands, the cattle, the houses? I mean, are they soon going to start moving people out of this area? Are they going to start moving people out of here to what, 15-minute cities? You're not going to be able to survive out here? What's going to happen to the agriculture? Folks, what we're looking at here is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this before. I'm sounding the alarm bells. This has never before happened. I've never seen it like this. Bone dry. Bone dry. All of it. Unbelievable.
Better write your congressman, because these politicians are as corrupt as they come, all getting paid off for this. So what does this mean? We're going to trade out humanity for AI so they can track and trace you better? And who's bringing this in? Well, it looks like to me, Trump is taking down the deep state, right? He's going after Obama, he's going after everybody, but he's replacing it with AI data centers, ruining the environment. This used to be a gushing river. It's gone. If we don't do something now, folks, humanity's screwed. I'm telling you that right now. We are screwed.
That video came from David Nino Rodriguez. Now, around every late June, early July, the Rio Grande River does see some drying up. But ever since these massive data centers, the Rio Grande River has been drying up a lot earlier than usual. Not just that, it is basically depleted altogether. For example, there are two big data centers there that are drawing up water from the Rio Grande: Project Jupiter and the Meta data center, Mark Zuckerberg's data center. And that one data center alone is permitted to draw up to 1.5 million gallons per day, or probably more if they really wanted to. Nobody's really going to stop them.
Like this one with the bird carrying an elephant. Have you ever seen this map from 1587? Like this one with the bird carrying an elephant. It's quite crazy. There's so many crazy drawings and depictions here. And I'll go over a few of them with you and let you comment on them. But it was quite interesting. All the depictions. And as you'll see, there's no ice. And there's land all the way around. And then up in the Americas, they have a griffin up there, which I thought was pretty cool. But there are drawings everywhere. I mean, everywhere, where you have this character here, which was really interesting. And then down here, you have everything really close, which is not like that anymore. And we'll go ahead and kind of go across here so you can see more of the craziness. Another large, wild-looking bird. Sea creatures. There's your mermaid on the side here. Here's where they have the dates. And then they have sayings all throughout here, all the different territories. And all along this area, they have all these different depictions like this. Or like that. Or like that. Just wild. And it keeps going. There's more and more. It just doesn't stop. This is probably one of the most interesting maps I've ever seen. And as you'll see here too. Oops, let me just do it the other way. Sorry. As you go further, you see even more interesting characters all throughout. Very interesting map. It's pretty wild looking there. Just all the different animal depictions everywhere. And then these. And then again below you have all the different descriptions. And then some of the different royalty in their descriptions as well. It's pretty wild. Here, we'll flip it again so we can see some more stuff. Check that one out, huh? It's pretty wild. Anyways, just wanted to share this map with you. There's so much more to dive into. We're just on the outskirts of it. I've done a couple videos. You can go back and check my past videos as well. And see the different videos I've done on this. But it is quite interesting. Anyways, as always, I'll do some more videos of this. Stay curious, y'all.
That video came from Ancient Maps and Mysteries, and old maps are very interesting. Ones that come from hundreds of years ago, especially ones that draw what may have been around Antarctica at the time. And you have to wonder, could this be stuff they actually did see? Maybe instead of seeing a massive bird take away an elephant, they saw some kind of plane-like technology, a craft, picking up an elephant, and the best way they could describe it is that it was a bird.
Today, as I was reading scripture, I came across something that blew my mind. Today, as I was reading scripture, I came across something that blew my mind. The Bible tells us where Satan's throne is. In Revelations 2:13, it says, I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. So where was Antipas slain? And when you look it up, it takes us here. And when you Google where Antipas was martyred, it brings you to Geneva, Switzerland. It says the traditional account goes on to say Antipas was martyred during the reign of Nero by burning in a brazen bull-shaped altar at the Apollyon Temple in Geneva, Switzerland. And that, of course, got me to wondering, what exactly is in Geneva? Let's take a look. The CERN Hadron Collider, for one, where they're trying to discover and replicate the Big Bang. And of course, if I was the devil and wanted control over the world, I would be sure to bring all the world organizations to where I was, such as the United Nations. I might bring along the World Health Organization as well. And I would definitely want the World Trade Organization there. And I would definitely have Gavi there, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations. And you can't finance an empire without having the World Economic Forum in Geneva, Switzerland. And of course, I would have all the other organizations there. 33 international organizations. 33. Isn't there significance to that number? But I'll be honest with you. When I saw this today, it literally blew my mind. I don't even have words. But if you have eyes to see, the information is out there.
That video came from Derek's dad, and it's definitely a very good connection, especially when it's also heavily theorized that CERN sits on top of the Temple of Apollo the Destroyer. Now, it was never proven it sits on top of the actual temple, but there are some interesting landmarks over in France that make people believe that way. And given the fact of all that we know about CERN and these other organizations, I would not doubt it one bit. But then again, I do find Astana, Kazakhstan to be a very interesting location that would house Satan. Astana is basically an anagram for a Satan.